Victims of sexual assault are being charged hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for their medical care. It's a loophole that the government didn't plan on, and now sex assault advocates are pushing for change. Fox 7's Noelle Newton takes a closer look at this issue.
I was running in Zilker Park, and he came up behind me with a knife.
It was August 14th, 2000. Lindsay Levitt became victim number 2 of a man who was dubbed the Greenbelt Rapist.
He told me to shut up or that he would kill me, and he led me off the trail to a place that he had prepared, and he raped me. He let me go eventually.
Levitt ran to her apartment. She was in shock and badly injured.
It wasn't a conscious decision of whether or not to call because, unlike a date rape situation or a situation where you know someone, this was, to me, it felt, it was an immediate assault and a crime, and I was hurt. So everyone just called 911. We didn't even think about it.
Levitt's case is what we typically associate with the word rape, stranger on stranger. In actuality, reports show 82% of all sexual assault victims know their attacker, meaning friend, family member, even significant other. Statistics also show 81% of victims do not report. To encourage reporting, a federal law went into effect in 2005, allowing sex assault victims to get a forensic exam without reporting to law enforcement, giving them time to decide whether they wanted to file charges while preserving precious evidence. Texas came into compliance in 2009. That year, the DPS lab received 47 non-report kits, in which 2 were turned over to police for investigation at the request of the victim. DPS received the most last year with 221. Levitt understands why women would choose a non-report exam.
It's easy when you don't know the person for me to say, yes, report. No one was questioning me. Were you flirting with him? Did you invite him in? How many drinks did you have? Did you kiss him?
There are 2 portions to the hospital visit for a sex assault victim. The SANE exam, which is paid for by law enforcement whether you report or not. Then comes the medical portion, meaning any wound care, STD, and pregnancy screenings and medication. Medical care is only paid under the state's Crime Victims Compensation Fund if a victim reports to police immediately. Non-report victims are having to pay for their care.
They end up getting a bill in the mail for medical care like stitches, even broken bones sometimes, totaling $600–700. ER fees are hundreds of dollars.
Chris Kaiser is the attorney for the Texas Association Against Sex Assault. He says some bills total in the thousands.
It's really important, and in some ways I think more important than trying to rush a criminal case through the process, right? We want to make sure people get taken care of first, and it can range anywhere from sexually transmitted diseases to physical injuries.
Kaiser drafted legislation sponsored by Senator Jose Rodriguez to be discussed next session. Senate Bill 145 would cover the medical care expense incurred by a victim who chooses to get the SANE exam but not report to police.
And the last thing we want is to create a disincentive for people to come forward because they're afraid they won't be able to afford their care.
I've had several clients that have gone into collections. And again, I've also had law enforcement tell me they know of survivors who simply didn't even go to the hospital because they knew they couldn't afford it.
Whitney Bliss is a sex assault counselor at the Hayes Caldwell Women's Center. In 2013, she struck a deal with the Central Texas Medical Center in San Marcos to cover prescriptions for non-report victims. There are 5 common prescriptions issued to victims. The average cost for the medicine is $400. But that's just one expense. Victims must pay an ER admission fee and often need follow-up medical care and counseling.
50% of sexual assault survivors end up losing or having to leave their jobs in the aftermath of the assault.
I fell apart.
Levitt says that she was fortunate that when her sex assault occurred, she wasn't married or had children. She was a college student and had the option to go home to live with her parents. While each case is extremely different, she encourages all victims to go directly to police.
I think for me, that's been the most important step from becoming a victim to survivor, is telling the truth and owning it and not being ashamed of it. I didn't do anything wrong. This was an attack. Anything you can do to get women and men to go, if that's finding a way to cover all those exams, then we should do it.
Noelle Newton, Fox 7 News Edge.